lot of you have asked when I've mentioned this vegetable that you have no idea what it looks like, or you're terrified when you see it in the grocery store because you don't know what to do with it. So I thought I'd do you a quick little video on what to do with a celeriac. Now, celeriac is also known as celery root, and I love celery root. I love celeriac. It makes a great, less carby, less starchy root vegetable that can be used still, of course, because it is starchier than, say, lettuce. So quantity is important. If you feel the need for a starchier vegetable, this is a good one, but don't eat a pound at once. So less starchy than most of the starchy vegetables, and I love the delicate flavor of this. Anyway, today we are going to purchase a celeriac. I've already bought it, but I wanted to show what to look out for when you're at the store. So instead of trying to read labels, and half the time there's no labels, so there's just all these weird vegetables and you don't know what they are. So this is a celeriac. This is what it looks like. It has a fairly normal round top there, kind of beigey, but this is how you're going to recognize your celeriac, because the underside is very ugly and it's all rooty and knobbly and lumpy. So when you go to the store, this is the weird vegetable that you're looking for. And sometimes they don't trim these off as well, so they can be lumpier. But that's what you're looking for. That's a celery root, aka celeriac. So then you get it home and you might be thinking, I don't even know where to start with this thing. So here's what I do. The top half is relatively easy because you can just peel it like it was a rutabaga, aka Swede outside of the US, or a turnip. It's this bottom part. So what I do is I get my sharp knife. This is a chef's knife. You know it's a chef's knife because the handle, the blade is longer than the handle, so that when you cut, your knuckles are not banging on the top. So that's a chef's knife. And I go to kind of, I guess, halfway down. I try to cut off as little as possible. So I'll cut some off like that, and you'll see that there's still, it's still a bit of a mess in there. So I'm gonna slice off a little bit more, and then maybe just another thin slither. I'm gonna cut that away so that what I'm left with is kind of usable celeriac. And then really, if you want to make life easier, I don't have a little knife. Okay, never mind. If you want to make life easier, you can just snip off those little bumps. I don't normally, I just kind of peel around them, but if you want to make it easier on yourself, you can just trim off those bumps to give you a pretty smooth thing. And then I'm just going to get my peeler and I am going to peel away. Now you'll find when you start peeling that your celeriac, it's got little dots. So you might think you've missed some peel where you actually haven't. So the goal is not to get rid of all those dots. If you did that, you'd have no vegetable left. So you just literally, like you are peeling a carrot, just take off that top piece like that, recognizing that you're still gonna see dots underneath, but they're good. Dots are fine. You just want to take off that darker brown skin. Nothing crazy, just peel like you would a rutabaga or Swede if you're outside the US, or what do they call them up here in New England? They call them a waxed turnip. I have no idea. Anyway, they do. Here they call them waxed turnips, and I remember the first time I saw a waxed turnip in the store and I was like, wait, that's a Swede or that's a rutabaga. Anyway, so whatever you call them. So we're just gonna peel. If you trim off those little knobs, it'll make it easier for you to peel. But also the skin is not tough like potatoes, so you don't have to go crazy if there's a tiny little bit of skin left there, because it's hard to tell whether it's skin or not. Do not fear. The only thing you do want to just keep an eye on is that all the little hairy fluffy bits are gone. So I'm about done here. I've got all of the big skin. I've got all those little hairy bits. I've just got one little area here that looks like it needs a bit of a router. So I'm just going to use the end of my peeler, and then this bit here, just going to wiggle that in there. And that is how you prepare your celeriac. So let me just get rid of these peelings. Now you can do what you will with your celeriac. You can, if I'm using it as part of mash, then I will just chop it into small cubes and then boil it. You can also, of course, grate it if you want to do like hash browns. You can just grate it. If you want to do something similar to a au gratin, scalloped potatoes, this is hard. This is a lot harder to cut than potatoes, but you can cut it like this and then cut it into pieces to use for a scalloped potato. Obviously it's not going to look quite as pretty as when you have potatoes and they're all sliced in rounds, but you can totally do this with celeriac. As I say, you do need, it does take a bit more work because it is harder than potato to start with, but you can totally do that. Or if you put it in, cut it in pieces, you can use a food processor as well to slice your celeriac. And then of course you can also grate it if you want some kind of hash brown actions. Again, it's harder than potato, so it does take a bit more work, but you can totally, it's actually easier to work with than potato because it is harder for grating. So that is how you identify and prepare a celeriac, also